What if I told you that the tribal chief has returned, not quietly, not humbly, but with fire in his eyes, and a crown already claimed? July 5, 2025, WWE SmackDown. The night that shook the wrestling world. After months of silence, months of chaos, months of betrayal within the bloodline, Roman Reigns walked through the curtain and reclaimed his throne. No warning. No announcement. Just his music, the crowd erupting, and Solo Sikoa's furious expression caught in the background. This wasn't just a return. This was a declaration of war, because if Solo Sikoa thought he was the new tribal chief, if he thought the throne was his to inherit while Roman was gone, he was dead wrong, and now, that mistake might cost him everything. This is the story of Solo Sikoa's fury. The moment he realized that his reign, built on betrayal and brute force, was never truly his. It belonged to the man who created the bloodline. The man who wore the red lei first. The man who now returns not as a hero, but as a shadow of the dominance he once ruled with. This is not a comeback, this is a reckoning. Let's go back. The last time we saw Roman Reigns on SmackDown, he was broken. Betrayed. A title loss at WrestleMania 41. An attack backstage. And then, silence. WWE never confirmed an injury, but the whispers backstage were louder than ever. Was he hurt? Was he depressed? Had Solo Sikoa finally succeeded in taking everything from him? 4 months, Solo operated like he was the new king. He draped himself in Samoan tradition. He took the bloodline banner and remade it in his image, with Tama Tonga, Hikuleo, and even Tanga Loa backing him. Paul Heyman, silent. Roman's family ties, unraveling, but Solo made one critical error. He believed Roman Reigns was gone for good, and on July 5, the lights went out. The crowd held its breath, and then it hit, head of the table. The music that defined an era. Roman Reigns didn't walk. He stormed down that ramp, no title on his shoulder, just the red lei in hand. A symbol. A warning. And when he reached the ring, the message was clear: I never handed this down. You tried to steal it. Backstage sources say Solo Sikoa was not informed of Roman's return beforehand. WWE kept it top secret, with only 3 people reportedly aware: Triple H, Nick Aldis, and Paul Heyman. And that last name? That's where the drama begins to boil. Paul Heyman, the so-called wise man of the bloodline, was nowhere to be seen during Roman's entrance. Cameras briefly caught him watching from a monitor, his face pale, hands trembling. Did he know? Was he in on it? Or had Roman returned to punish him too? For Solo, this moment wasn't just a betrayal. It was humiliation. He had taken control in Roman's absence. He had orchestrated the exile of Jey Uso. He had weaponized Jacob Fatu as his enforcer. He had turned SmackDown into his personal war zone. Every decision Solo made was about domination. But what happens when the true king returns? The crowd roared. Roman stood in the center of the ring, holding the lei above his head, and Solo didn't move. He stood on the ramp, glaring. Breathing heavily. Teeth grinding. He didn't walk down. He didn't fight. He just watched, because in that moment, even he knew, he wasn't ready. Sources close to the locker room say that immediately after the show, Solo Sikoa stormed out of Gorilla, shouting at producers and allegedly demanding to know why he wasn't told. Some say he believed this was a power grab. Others say he saw it as betrayal from Paul Heyman, the one man he thought was still guiding him. But the truth, Roman Reigns never left the family. He left them, and now he's back, not to ask for loyalty, but to take it by force. Backstage, tensions exploded. Hikuleo reportedly refused to shake Roman's hand after the show. Jacob Fatu, who many believed had become Solo's top soldier, was seen looking conflicted. One source even claimed that Jacob approached Roman quietly in the locker room, and what was said between them no one will repeat, but the body language. Chilling. Jacob walked away without saying another word, and Roman, he smirked. The internal fracture within the bloodline has reached a boiling point. WWE has long teased the question of who truly leads this dynasty. Is it the brutal Solo Sikoa? The unhinged enforcer Jacob Fatu? Or the fallen king who just returned with the calm fury of a man who knows he's been wronged? Fans are asking, why now? Why did Roman wait this long to return? According to insiders, Roman's recovery, whether physical or psychological, has been longer than expected. But what lit the fire wasn't time, it was disrespect. In a private conversation leaked by a backstage staffer, Roman allegedly said, "You don't steal the crown from a living king. You kneel. Or you get crushed. That's not a warning. That's a promise. Let's not forget." Roman Reigns built the bloodline from the ashes of betrayal. He took Jay and Jimmy, molded them, made them believe in him. He stood at the top for over 1,000 days. He made WWE bend to his will. Solo Sikoa? He was brought in. Handpicked. Protected, but now, he's defied his maker, and the maker has returned. WWE commentators have already begun speculating about a bloodline civil war, and for good reason. The tribal hierarchy has collapsed. No one knows who's in charge, and no one is backing down. Roman didn't raise his voice. He didn't cut a promo. He let the lay speak for him and Solo's silence? That was the loudest moment of the night. Solo Sikoa's fury is real. He believed the era of Reigns was over. He thought he had seized the island of relevancy and planted his own flag. He even whispered the words tribal chief in promos over the past month, subtly, arrogantly, almost daring Roman to respond. Now, that response has come not with a microphone but with presence, with history, with legacy. The red lay is back on Roman's shoulders, and Solo is on borrowed time. The next chapter isn't about survival. It's about submission, because Roman didn't return to share power. He came back to burn the usurpers and rebuild the bloodline on his terms, or let it all collapse under the weight of betrayal. And now, the WWE Universe waits. What happens when two alphas collide? What happens when the apprentice believes he's the master, and the master returns? What happens when family turns to war? This story is far from over, and for Solo Sikoa, the reckoning has just begun. The fallout began the moment Roman Reigns disappeared behind the black curtain. Backstage, the air was thick with disbelief. Superstars stood frozen. Staffers whispered. Camera crews stopped rolling and just stared. In that hallway, for the first time in months, there was silence. The kind of silence that only comes when everyone realizes everything has changed. But one voice broke through. Solo Sikoa. He wasn't yelling for show. He wasn't cutting a promo. This wasn't the measured menace of the enforcer. This was raw fury. He was heard shouting, "He didn't tell me. He didn't tell me." No one dared speak his name. No one intervened. Even Paul Heyman, who had once orchestrated every step of the bloodline's rise, was nowhere to be found. Because deep down, everyone knew, the tribal chief's return had shattered the illusion. Solo Sikoa believed himself a leader, but now? He looked like a soldier lost without orders, and yet, perhaps the most dangerous man in WWE is not the one screaming with rage. It's the one who stays quiet, because Solo didn't storm into Roman's locker room. He didn't confront him face to face. Not yet. He went radio silent for the next 48 hours. No social media posts. No locker room appearance. No interviews. Just silence. WWE insiders called it the calm before the bloodstorm. And they were right. That next Monday, on Raw, something unexpected happened. Paul Heyman appeared, not with Roman, not with Solo. He stood alone under a spotlight, clutching the mic like a broken relic from the past. "I served a tribal chief," he said. "And now I serve a family at war." No one knew what to make of it. Was this an apology, a warning, or was Paul Heyman, the grand manipulator of WWE, starting to play both sides? Back on SmackDown, the tension grew unbearable. In the week following Roman's return, rumors flooded the locker room. Some claimed Jacob Fatu was secretly aligning with Roman. Others whispered that Hikuleo was prepared to defect. A few even speculated that Paul Heyman had leaked Roman's return to Triple H behind Solo's back. And then, the WWE Universe got its answer. 1 week later, Solo Sikoa entered the arena, alone. No bloodline behind him. No entrance pyro. Just a cold, slow walk to the ring. His face was stone, but his eyes betrayed him, fury barely contained. He called out Roman Reigns, and he didn't ask politely. I was loyal, Solo growled into the mic. I took the bloodline and kept it alive. I fought for it. Bled for it. I made it feared again. The crowd erupted. But then his voice dropped, nearly a whisper, and now, you wanna walk back in? Like nothing happened? Like I'm just your soldier again? He held up the mic, trembling with rage. You are not my tribal chief. That one sentence changed the war. Roman Reigns didn't storm the ring. He didn't answer on the Titantron. Instead, once again, he let the music speak. Acknowledge me. The crowd exploded as Roman stepped out, slower this time. Deliberate. Every step down the ramp felt like a drumbeat of dominance. No mic. No gear. No words. He slid into the ring, stood face to face with Solo, and said nothing. They didn't brawl, they didn't shout, they just stared, because both men knew this wasn't a promo segment. This wasn't about titles or factions or t-shirts. This was about blood. This was about pride. This was about the right to wear the red lei. And what it means when someone tries to take it without earning it. Solo turned his back, walked away, but not before whispering, just loud enough to be caught on a hot mic. I won't kneel. The war had officially begun. Behind the scenes, WWE scrambled. Triple H reportedly held an emergency creative meeting to map out the direction. Two proposals were on the table: a Bloodline War Games match at Survivor Series with Roman vs. Solo as captains, or a one-on-one tribal combat match at Crown Jewel to settle it once and for all. But here's the kicker. Sources say Roman rejected both, not because he didn't want the fight, but because he wants the family to tear itself apart first. This isn't just about reclaiming his crown. This is about vengeance. It's about watching Solo suffer the same isolation Roman did after WrestleMania. It's about letting the paranoia set in, letting Solo wonder if Jacob will betray him, if Paul will turn, if the bloodline was ever truly his. Roman doesn't want a match. He wants Solo Sikoa to break, and Solo, he's not backing down. Privately, Solo has begun rallying his troops, calling on Hikuleo, Tama Tonga, and even Tanga Loa to reaffirm their loyalty. But Jacob Fatu remains uncommitted, and that silence, it speaks louder than war drums. Meanwhile, Paul Heyman is playing a dangerous game. He's been seen speaking with Roman. Then Solo. Then disappearing altogether. Some believe he's orchestrating a bloodline split, two tribes. Two leaders. One family, destined to destroy itself. The WWE Universe watches with bated breath, and the questions mount. Is Roman Reigns back to rebuild the bloodline, or to bury it? Is Solo Sikoa ready for war, or is he already outnumbered? And the most terrifying possibility of all, what happens when Roman Reigns doesn't just come back as the tribal chief, but as the executioner? The silence of Jacob Fatu was beginning to speak volumes. In a war defined by words, symbols, and stares, the man once seen as Solo Sikoa's deadliest weapon had suddenly become the bloodline's biggest mystery. He hadn't posted anything. He hadn't joined Solo in the ring. And more importantly, when Roman Reigns returned, Jacob didn't attack. He watched, and when Solo demanded loyalty behind closed doors, Jacob reportedly said 5 chilling words: I serve the strongest blood. Those words sent a tremor through the faction. What did he mean? Was it loyalty to Solo, the one who took over in Roman's absence and brought Jacob into the fold, or was it acknowledgement? A quiet signal that even now, even after everything, Roman Reigns still cast a longer shadow than any man standing today. Inside WWE headquarters, the situation was spiraling fast. Creative teams were divided. One camp believed Solo Sikoa needed to destroy Roman Reigns on live TV, publicly, viciously, without hesitation, to cement his position. The other side argued that Roman should reclaim everything slowly, psychologically, not through violence, but by making his enemies kneel. But Roman had his own plan, and it didn't involve a match. Not yet. It began with mind games. The following week, on SmackDown, Roman appeared backstage, not in the ring. Not in front of a roaring crowd, but in the locker room Jacob Fatu had been using since his debut, sitting calmly, the red lei placed beside him on the bench, untouched. When Jacob walked in, the room fell silent. WWE cameras captured the moment from a hidden angle. No commentary, no dialogue, just two giants staring at one another. Jacob Fatu didn't speak. Neither did Roman, but the tension? It was seismic, and when Jacob turned to walk away, Roman stood up. He didn't stop him. He didn't touch him. He just said one thing, softly, "You're not like him." The internet exploded. Was it praise? Was it manipulation? Was it a call to come home? Fans, pundits, and even WWE legends began weighing in. Booker T called it the slowest, coldest power move I've ever seen from Roman. Bully Ray tweeted, "Roman's not after a match. He's after their souls." And inside WWE, one thing was becoming painfully clear: the bloodline is splitting. And the cracks are turning to fractures. Solo Sikoa, sensing the shift, didn't waste time. The next Friday, he launched a surprise assault, not on Roman, but on Paul Heyman. Midway through the show, Heyman tried to address the WWE Universe. He stood in the ring, hands trembling, eyes red. He began with, "I've always served one family. But loyalty doesn't mean silence." That was all he got out. Solo Sikoa's music hit. He marched down the ramp alone. No smile. No sneer. No games. And then, a Samoan spike straight to Heyman's throat. The crowd gasped. No words. Solo stood over his fallen Wiseman and stared into the camera. "You're either with me, or you're gone." The crowd didn't know how to react. Boo? Cheer? Stand in silence? This was war now, not sports entertainment. Not storytelling. This was civil war inside the greatest dynasty WWE has ever known. Paul Heyman was stretchered out of the arena. Roman Reigns never came out, not that night. He didn't need to. His next move would come 72 hours later. At a WWE live event in Madison Square Garden, an untelevised show meant for the hardcore fans, Roman Reigns did the unthinkable. He walked out, wearing the Tribal Chief title, not a championship belt, not gold, but the red ceremonial sash and the Samoan beads, the same ones that were last seen placed on Solo's shoulders after Roman's disappearance. No explanation. No warning, just presence. It was a message. He never abdicated. He never gave it up. It was always his. And Solo Sikoa, for the first time, was being treated like an imposter. Backstage, the dominoes began falling. Hikuleo, who had been Solo's enforcer, reportedly refused to accompany him to the ring the next night. Tama Tonga left a cryptic post on Twitter. "The ones who scream the loudest often fear the silence most." And Jacob Fatu, still no allegiance declared, but he was seen arriving late to the SmackDown tapings, alone. The locker room watched him closely. What was going on in his head? Who would he stand with? That question would be answered sooner than anyone expected, because the next SmackDown opened with Roman Reigns in the ring, alone. No pyro. No fireworks. Just him. The red lay across his shoulders. The Tribal Chief sash around his waist. He didn't speak at first, he just looked into the camera, and then he said it. "Solo, you forgot who made you. Now I'm here to remind you. But you have one chance. Next week. Acknowledgement, or annihilation." The challenge was made, and the WWE Universe held its breath. What would Solo Sikoa do? Would he finally kneel, or would he burn the last bridge, and take on the man who created him? The stage is set, the bloodline is fractured, and only one man can wear the crown, but before it's over, blood will spill. To be continued, July 26th. The night WWE SmackDown was no longer just a wrestling show, it became a civil battlefield. The crowd knew something was coming. The tension had built to a breaking point. Roman Reigns had issued a challenge the week before. A final ultimatum. A line drawn in the sand. The bloodline was cracking, loyalty was uncertain, and the entire WWE Universe tuned in with one question: would Solo Sikoa kneel? The show opened in eerie silence. No commentary, no music. Just a wide shot of the empty ring, and on the steel steps, a single red lay, not worn, not held, left. A symbol. A warning. The cameras cut backstage, chaos. Reports of a brawl. A cameraman sprinting through the corridors. Security yelling. And then the screen flashed. Live, parking garage. There he was, Jacob Fatu, breathing hard. Shirt torn. Blood on his lip, and beneath him, in a heap, was Hikuleo. Trainers and officials tried pulling Jacob away, but he shoved them off. He turned to the camera and said just 5 words: "I choose the chief." The crowd exploded. The defection had begun. Jacob Fatu had made his choice, and it wasn't Solo Sikoa, but the moment was short-lived, because seconds later, Solo Sikoa's voice echoed across the arena, "Not live." Pre-recorded, his message was cold, methodical, almost surgical. The screen flickered to a darkened room. Solo sat alone in front of a ceremonial Samoan carving, the Bloodline logo behind him, lit in red. "I bled for this family. I fought for it while Roman vanished into the shadows. I built the new Bloodline, brick by brick. But now the old king wants to return, and claim the throne he abandoned." He paused, then he looked straight into the lens. "Roman, you want acknowledgement? You'll get it, at SummerSlam. But not on your terms. Not with your games. No crown. No lay. Just you, and me, in tribal combat." The arena roared. It was official, Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. One-on-one. No bloodline. No interference. Just blood. And war. And then, the feed cut again. This time, live. Roman Reigns stood on the entrance ramp. Watching. No anger. No emotion. Just silence, because that's all he needed. He nodded once, and walked to the back. No rebuttal. No acceptance, because Roman doesn't answer challenges. He defines them. And now, the bloodline had reached its final chapter, or so we thought. Because what happened next would change everything. Later that night, in a backstage hallway, Tama Tonga confronted Jacob Fatu. The locker room emptied into the hallway. Tension thickened. "Tama," Jacob said calmly, "you with him?" Tama looked down, then smirked. "I'm with blood." And with one motion, a fist bump, Jacob and Tama Tonga reunited. The bloodline was splitting in two. Roman Reigns, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga versus Solo Sikoa, Hikuleo Tangaloa, and in the middle? Paul Heyman. Broken. Bloody. Silent. Fans began calling it the Red Line Split. Two dynasties, born from one family, on a collision course. And then came the final twist of the night. As the show faded to black, a shadowy figure was seen entering Roman's locker room. Not security, not management. It was Jey Uso. The crowd lost their minds. Jey, who had vanished months earlier after being attacked, reportedly by Solo, was now back. No cameras showed his face. No audio captured their conversation, but one detail caught the eye of every fan watching. As Jey walked in, he was wearing the same red lei. The war wasn't coming. It was already here, and the only question that matters now: who bleeds first? August 2nd. 1 week before SummerSlam. WWE SmackDown didn't open with pyro. It didn't open with a video package. It opened in darkness. A single spotlight hovered over the ring, and standing beneath it was Roman Reigns. No music. No entourage. He stood with the red lei clutched in his hand, but it wasn't around his neck. It dangled. As if Roman wasn't wearing it, he was weighing it. He finally raised the mic. His voice wasn't thunder. It wasn't rage. It was something far more chilling. Restraint. "I was gone," he said. "Not because I ran, but because I trusted my blood." The crowd listened, silent. "I gave Solo the one thing no one gave me. Belief. And he used it to crown himself king." He raised the lei slowly, and stared at it. "SummerSlam, I'm not coming to fight my cousin. I'm coming to bury the man who tried to steal my legacy." Then came the words that chilled the WWE universe, "And when I'm done, there will be no more bloodline." The arena was stunned. Was Roman ending it all? No more faction? No more dynasty? Or was this his way of rewriting it, in blood? But just as fans began to process those words, the lights flickered, and on the Titantron, a grainy, shaky video. Solo Sikoa in the parking lot, dragging a man by his hoodie across the concrete. The camera turned. It was Tama Tonga, blood on his mouth. Barely conscious, Solo stood over him, dropped to one knee, and whispered into the mic, "You choose Roman? Now bleed for him." And with that, a steel chair across Tama's spine. 3 times 4.5. Officials rushed in, but Solo dropped them one by one. The camera feed cut. When it returned, the audience in the arena wasn't cheering. They were in shock. Tama Tonga, once Roman's silent ally, was now left broken. As a warning, Roman watched the screen from the ring. His expression didn't change, but his eyes, they darkened, because Solo hadn't just sent a message. He had declared total war, and backstage, chaos erupted. Jacob Fatu, the Beast, the wild card. stormed through the halls looking for Solo. Staffers tried stopping him. He shoved them away. He wasn't looking to talk. He was looking to kill, but Solo had already vanished, gone. Escaped. Left nothing behind but destruction. And then, later that night, Roman Reigns left the arena. He walked alone. No security. No Heyman. No car waiting, just Roman. Hoodie up. Eyes low. A cameraman asked him one question: what happens at SummerSlam? Roman stopped, turned slowly, and said the words no one expected: he's not the tribal chief. He's not the heir. He's not even a rival. He's just the final test. And with that, Roman walked into the darkness, leaving the WWE Universe with one horrifying truth: Solo Sikoa had been forged in flame, but Roman Reigns was coming back as fire itself. Meanwhile, the WWE medical team confirmed Tama Tonga would not be medically cleared for SummerSlam. Broken ribs. Concussion. Roman had lost an ally, and Solo, he had drawn first blood. But the most shocking moment of the night wasn't on SmackDown. It was captured after the show, on a leaked fan video. In the shadows of the parking garage, two figures were seen talking. One was Solo Sikoa, the other, Paul Heyman, and as the two parted ways, Heyman handed Solo something wrapped in black velvet. Insiders are calling it the final betrayal. Because if Paul Heyman, the wise man, is about to return to the man who destroyed him, then Roman Reigns may be walking into SummerSlam with no one left to trust. No bloodline. No allies, just vengeance, and the war, it's already taken its first soul. But who will fall next? August 10 Detroit, Michigan. Over 70,000 fans packed into Ford Field, but no one came for fireworks. No one came for spectacle, they came for blood. WWE had billed it as Tribal Combat 2, the final acknowledgement: Solo Sikoa vs. Roman Reigns. No rules. No interference. No escape. The night was electric. And yet, unnervingly quiet backstage, Jacob Fatu was spotted pacing. Tama Tonga, still recovering, had arrived in a wheelchair, insisting on being in Roman's corner, against doctor's orders. Paul Heyman? Nowhere. Disappeared since the parking garage encounter. But when the time came, and the lights dropped, and the Titantron went black, Roman Reigns emerged, dressed not for performance, but for war. No shirt, just black tribal markings painted down his chest. The red lay in one hand, and wrapped around his fist. This wasn't about titles, this was about blood debts and vengeance. Solo Sikoa came out next. No music. No pyro, just an ancestral war drum pounding through the arena. His face was expressionless, like a man already buried under the weight of what he'd done, but his eyes, pure fire. He wore no LEI. No acknowledgement, just war paint, and a single black towel over his head. The two stood across from each other in the ring. No introductions. No announcements, just eye contact. One moment. One final calm. Then, they charged. The first punch sounded like a shotgun. Roman swung the chain. Solo ducked. Samoan spike, blocked. Roman tackled Solo into the corner, fists flying.